The recording played for the third time, each word cutting deeper than the last. My stepmother's voice, usually dripping with artificial sweetness, now cold and calculated. I need to know. Can we remove her? If she disappears, what happens to the money? My name is Angela, and today is my 25th birthday. The day I'm supposed to inherit my mother's trust fund, nearly $500,000 she set aside before cancer took her when I was 14. Instead of celebrating, I'm sitting in my small apartment, listening to the evidence that could destroy my family. Mrs. Porter Clark? The lawyer's voice crackled through the recording. Legally speaking, your stepdaughter's inheritance is ironclad. Unless she willingly signs it over, then that's what we'll make her do, Cynthia interrupted. I've handled harder cases than a naive little girl. I paused the recording and walked to my window, watching rain streak down the glass. My phone buzzed, another message from Dad. Sweetie, don't forget dinner tonight. Cynthia's making your favorite. I typed back. Wouldn't miss it. My fingers trembled slightly as I hit send. The invitation had arrived 3 days ago, hand-delivered by Cynthia herself. We need to discuss some family matters, she'd said, perfect smile never reaching her eyes. Now that you're 25, it's time to think about your future. Our future. I opened my mother's old jewelry box, lifting out the letters she'd written before she died. The paper had yellowed, but her words remained clear. My dearest Angela, when you read this, you'll be 25. Everything I've saved is yours. Don't let anyone tell you different. You're stronger than you know. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Hayden, my ex. Got the audio cleaned up. Sending the final version now. You sure about this? Yes, I replied. It's time. I pulled out my dress for dinner. Black, modest, perfect for playing the role of dutiful stepdaughter one last time. As I applied mascara, memories flooded back. Cynthia moving in 6 months after Mom died, slowly redecorating our house, erasing every trace of my mother. The way she'd smile when Dad wasn't looking, like we shared a secret. Except her secret was that she was systematically pushing me out of my own family. Just remember, Hayden texted, once you send this, there's no going back. I touched the silver locket around my neck, Mom's last gift. I know, I typed back, but she made her choice 11 years ago. Now it's my turn. The doorbell rang. My heart jumped, but it was just Grace, my mother's sister, dropping off the final piece of evidence we'd need. You don't have to do this alone, she said, hugging me tight. I'm not alone, I replied, breathing in her familiar perfume, so like Mom's. I have you. And you have proof, Grace reminded me, holding up a manila envelope. Your mother was smarter than Cynthia knew. She saw this coming. Inside were documents, the original trust agreement, emails between Mom and Dad, and most importantly, a letter to the trustees explicitly stating that the money was for me alone, not to be distributed to any other family members. Your mother knew what kind of woman Cynthia was, Grace said softly. She just couldn't convince your father in time. I checked my watch. 2 hours until dinner. The restaurant Cynthia chose was expensive, of course. She loved displaying wealth, even when it wasn't hers to display. My phone lit up with a final message from Hayden. Audio files ready. Hidden app installed. It'll record everything tonight without anyone knowing. You just need to tap your phone twice to start. I looked in the mirror one last time, straightening my shoulders. The girl who stared back wasn't the same one who'd let Cynthia push her around for 11 years. This version of me had evidence, allies, and most importantly, nothing left to lose. I should go, Grace said, squeezing my hand. But remember, the minute you need me, I'm there. After she left, I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. The email was already drafted, recipients listed, the trustees, Cynthia's law firm, her social circle, and every family member she'd tried to turn against me. One click would send them all the recording of her plotting to steal my inheritance. But not yet. First, dinner. First, I'd let her think she'd won. My phone buzzed one final time. Cynthia. Darling, we're so excited to celebrate with you. Your father and I have wonderful news. I bet you do, I thought, closing my eyes. When I opened them, I was ready. On my way, I replied, adding a heart emoji for good measure. Can't wait to hear the news. I grabbed my keys and coat, the recording safely backed up in 3 different places. Mom's letter was tucked in my purse, her words echoing in my mind. You're stronger than you know. Time to show them just how strong. The restaurant's valet took my car as I tapped my phone twice, activating the recording app. Cynthia had chosen Le Petit Jardin, naturally. Where else would you stage a financial ambush but over overpriced French cuisine? They were already seated when I arrived. Dad stood up, awkwardly kissing my cheek. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Thanks, Dad. I noticed his hands trembling slightly as he sat back down. Cynthia rose gracefully, enveloping me in a cloud of expensive perfume. Angela, darling. 25, can you believe it? Her smile was perfect, practiced. Next to her, her daughter Kendall offered a small wave, already scrolling through her phone. Let's order some champagne, Cynthia announced. We have so much to celebrate. The waiter appeared with a bottle she'd clearly pre-ordered. As he poured, I watched Dad fidget with his napkin, avoiding my eyes. To family, Cynthia raised her glass. And to new beginnings. I sipped slowly, remembering Mom's words. Watch how they try to soften you first. Angela. Cynthia leaned forward, her voice honey-sweet. Your father and I have been thinking about your future. About all our futures, really. Oh? I kept my voice neutral, curious. We know your mother left you that trust fund, she continued. And while that was thoughtful, times have changed. Families need to stick together, pool resources. The waiter interrupted with menus. Cynthia waved him away. They'd already ordered for everyone. Of course they had. The thing is, Dad finally spoke, his voice strained. We've had some investment opportunities come up. Real estate developments that could benefit the whole family. Huge potential, Kendall chimed in, finally looking up from her phone. Mom's been working on this for months. I see. I took another sip of champagne. And you need my inheritance for this? Your mother's money, Cynthia corrected gently. Which really should be considered family money. We're all family here, aren't we? The appetizers arrived, tiny portions of something unpronounceable. I watched Cynthia reach into her designer handbag, producing a leather portfolio. We've had the papers drawn up, she said, sliding them across the table. It's really quite simple. You'll transfer the trust fund into our family investment account. In return, you'll have a share in all future profits. Equal shares? I asked, knowing the answer. Well, she laughed lightly, your father and I would manage the investments, of course. We have the experience. But you'll benefit? Trust me. I opened the portfolio, scanning the documents while my recording app captured every word. The legal language was dense, but the meaning was clear. I'd be signing away everything. What about Mom's wishes? I looked at Dad. She wanted this money to be mine. Your mother, Dad started, but Cynthia cut him off. Your mother couldn't have foreseen how things would change, she said firmly. Sometimes being an adult means making sacrifices for family harmony. Family harmony, I repeated, thinking of the recording in my phone. That's important to you, isn't it? Extremely. Cynthia's eyes narrowed slightly. Which is why we expect you to make the right choice here. I closed the portfolio slowly. This is a lot to take in. It's really not complicated, Kendall said, rolling her eyes. Just sign it so we can order dessert. Actually, I said, would it be okay if I sleep on it? Just to review everything properly? Cynthia's smile flickered for a moment. Of course, darling. But we'll need an answer by tomorrow. These opportunities won't wait forever. I understand. I stood up. I should go. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. But dinner hasn't even arrived, Dad protested weakly. I'll take it to go, I said, gathering my things. Thank you for the champagne. As I walked away, I tapped my phone twice again, ending the recording. In my purse, another phone, my old one, was already sending out the first recording to selected recipients. I was halfway to my car when I heard Cynthia's phone chime, then again, and again. Turning back, I watched through the restaurant's window as she checked her messages. Even from here, I could see her face pale as she opened the attachment. My phone buzzed. A text from Hayden. First wave sent. You okay? Perfect, I replied. How long until she hears herself plotting to steal my inheritance? About 30 seconds into the recording. Want me to send the second wave? I looked back one last time. Cynthia was frantically typing on her phone, her perfect composure cracking. Dad looked confused. Kendall was finally paying attention. Yes, I texted back. Send everything. It's time they all heard the truth. As I drove home, I thought about Mom's words again. You're stronger than you know. She was right. Strength isn't always about fighting back loudly. Sometimes it's about waiting, watching, and knowing exactly when to strike. Tomorrow would bring chaos. But tonight, for the first time in 11 years, I was finally taking back control. The morning after the dinner, my phone exploded with notifications. I sat at my kitchen counter, sipping coffee, watching the dominoes fall. Have you seen this? Hayden burst through my door, laptop in hand. Cynthia's law firm just put her on immediate leave. The recording hit their ethics board at midnight. Show me, I said, moving closer to see his screen. He pulled up an email chain. Look, Winston, her lawyer, is desperately trying to distance himself. Says he never agreed to help her steal your inheritance. My phone rang. Yolanda, my mother's oldest friend and one of the trust's trustees. Angela, honey, I just heard the recording. I always knew something wasn't right with that woman. But this... I know, I said quietly. There's more coming. Your mother would be proud. Yolanda's voice cracked. She left me instructions, you know, said if anything ever seemed wrong, I should dig deeper. That's why I sent you the recording first, I told her. Mom trusted you. After hanging up, I opened my laptop to show Hayden something. Remember when you helped me recover files from Mom's old computer? He nodded, leaning in. The encrypted emails? Look at this one. I clicked on a folder labeled Trust Documents. It's from Dad to Mom, 3 months before she died. The email was clear. I promise, Sarah, the money will go to Angela alone. I'll never let anyone touch her inheritance. Your dad wrote that? Hayden whistled. Man, Cynthia really did a number on him. She did a number on everyone, I said, opening another file. But Mom was smarter. She kept everything. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Grace. Just landed. Coming straight to you. The recording is everywhere. I pulled up social media. Cynthia's carefully curated image was crumbling in real time. Her charity board positions, her country club memberships, her perfectly filtered photos, all flooded with comments about the recording. Should we send the second part? Hayden asked, fingers hovering over his keyboard. Before I could answer, my door flew open again. Grace rushed in, pulling me into a fierce hug. I've waited 11 years to see that woman exposed, she said, eyes bright with tears. Did you bring it? I asked. She patted her bag. Everything your mother left with me, including proof that Cynthia tried to bar me from the funeral. We spread the documents across my counter, photos, letters, legal papers. Grace pointed to one particular envelope. This is the bombshell. Your mother hired a private investigator. Inside was a detailed report. Cynthia's history of marriages, all following the same pattern. Wealthy men, sudden financial troubles, transferred assets. She'd done this before. Send it, I told Hayden. All of it. He typed rapidly, then hit enter. Done. Her employer gets it first, then social media, then... My phone rang again. Dad this time. I let it go to voicemail. Angela, his message played, voice shaking. Please call me. Cynthia says this is all a misunderstanding. We can fix this. Please. Grace squeezed my hand. He made his choice long ago. I know, I said, deleting the message. But that doesn't make it hurt less. Hayden's laptop pinged. Whoa, Cynthia's firm just issued a statement. They're launching a full investigation into her client dealings. My phone lit up with a text from Kendall. You backstabbing bitch. Mom's crying. Hope you're happy. I showed Grace the message. She snorted. Rich, coming from them. Should we show her the trust fund paperwork Cynthia tried to forge 3 years ago? Not yet, I said. Let's see how she handles the private investigator's report first. Another notification, this time from my building's security. Ms. Clark, your stepmother is in the lobby demanding access. Tell her I'm not available, I replied. Then to Hayden, how long until the report hits social media? He checked his watch. 5 minutes. Want to watch? We gathered around his laptop, Grace's arm around my shoulders, as the final piece of evidence went public. Cynthia's carefully constructed facade didn't just crack, it shattered. Within minutes, her phone number was disconnected. Her social media went dark. The last post anyone saw was from her country club. Mrs. Porter Clark's membership has been terminated, effective immediately. Your mother would have loved this, Grace whispered. She always said the truth would come out eventually. My phone buzzed one last time. Yolanda. The trust fund is secure. I've frozen all access except yours. It's done. I looked around my kitchen, at Hayden's triumphant grin, at Grace's proud tears, at the scattered evidence of 11 years of manipulation finally exposed. No, I said. It's just beginning. Because somewhere across town, Cynthia was realizing what I'd known all along. Revenge doesn't need violence or screaming. Sometimes the quietest moves make the loudest impact. And I wasn't done yet, not even close. 3 days after the recordings went public, I drove past my childhood home. A moving truck sat in the driveway, workers carrying out Cynthia's carefully curated life piece by piece. My phone rang. Dad again. This time I answered. Angel, please, his voice cracked. Come home. We need to talk about this. Where's Cynthia? I asked, watching another box leave the house. She's staying at a hotel, just temporarily, until we sort this out. Sort what out, Dad? The recording of her plotting to steal my inheritance? Or the private investigator's report showing she's done this before? Silence, then. She says it's all being taken out of context. Right, I said. Just like she took Mom's death out of context when she redecorated the house 2 weeks after the funeral. A worker emerged carrying Mom's antique mirror, the one Cynthia had stored in the attic years ago. I watched it disappear into the truck. Your inheritance is still here, Dad said desperately. Just come home. We can talk about this as a family. Family? I laughed. When was the last time you visited Mom's grave? Because I go every Sunday, and I've never seen you there. More silence. My phone buzzed with a notification. Kendall had posted a private Instagram story. Hayden, who still followed her, sent me a screenshot. When your perfect family falls apart because someone can't let go of the past. Angela? Dad's voice brought me back. Are you still there? I'm here, just watching Cynthia move out of our house. What? No, she's just... He paused. I heard him walking, probably to the window. Oh, God. Surprise, I said softly. Turns out your wife's been planning her exit strategy for weeks. Check your joint accounts lately? The sharp intake of breath told me he hadn't. My phone buzzed again, an email from Cynthia's lawyer. Emergency motion to freeze trust assets. Mental instability claim. I forwarded it to Yolanda, who responded instantly. Already on it. We have your medical records and psychological evaluation from last month. She's grasping at straws. Dad, I said, I have to go. Your wife is trying to have me declared mentally unstable. She wouldn't. He started, then stopped. Let me talk to her. Like you talked to her when she threw out Mom's clothes? Or when she banned Aunt Grace from visiting? Through the phone, I heard the moving truck start up. Dad must have heard it too because his next words came out panicked. Please, Angel. Your inheritance is waiting. Just come home. I ended the call, watching the truck pull away. My phone immediately lit up with texts. Hayden. Cynthia's lawyer just quit. Apparently, filing false mental health claims is frowned upon. Grace. Your mother's safety deposit box. The one Cynthia tried to access last year? I still have everything from it. Coming over now. Yolanda. Motion denied. Judge wants to see all parties tomorrow morning. I pulled into the driveway, parking where the moving truck had been. Using my old key, I walked into the house for the first time in months. Everything was half-packed, drawers left open, closets ransacked. I climbed the stairs to my old bedroom, now a guest room according to Cynthia's interior design blog. The door creaked open. Everything was exactly as sterile and impersonal as she'd made it, except, there in the corner, a loose floorboard. I knelt down, prying it up with familiar fingers. Inside was my secret box, untouched for 11 years. Photos of Mom, her old perfume bottle, the birthday cards she'd written for my future. Angel? Dad's voice echoed from downstairs. Is that you? I quickly replaced the floorboard, clutching my treasure to my chest. Up here, I called back. He appeared in the doorway, looking older than I'd ever seen him. She's gone, he said simply. Took everything from our accounts, the house papers, the investments. I know, I replied. That was her plan all along. How did you— Mom knew. I cut him off. She knew what kind of woman Cynthia was. That's why she protected my inheritance. That's why she left evidence everywhere. He slumped against the wall. I should have listened. Yes. I stood up. You should have. My phone buzzed one final time. A video message from Cynthia herself. You think you've won? This isn't over. I have things on your father that would destroy him. Want to hear him admit to pressuring your dying mother about the trust fund? I showed Dad the message. His face crumpled. Don't worry, I said, walking past him. Mom recorded that conversation too. And guess what? The trustees rejected your changes. Every single one. I left him there, in the hollow shell of our former home, clutching my box of memories. Tomorrow would bring lawyers and judges and more revelations. But today? Today I reclaimed my space, one empty room at a time. Grace's lakeside cottage looked exactly as I remembered it, warm, welcoming, and completely untouched by Cynthia's influence. I hadn't been here in 5 years, not since the day my stepmother declared Grace toxic to family harmony. Come in, sweetheart. Grace opened the door before I could knock. I've made your mother's tea. The familiar scent of Earl Grey and lavender hit me as I stepped inside. Photos of Mom still lined the walls here, real ones, not the staged family portraits Cynthia preferred. I have something to show you, Grace said, leading me to her study. I've been waiting for the right time. She pulled out a large box, weathered but carefully preserved. Your mother left this with me 3 days before she died. Said to give it to you when you were ready to know everything. My hands trembled as I lifted the lid. Inside, dozens of letters, recordings, and documents filled the space. On top lay an envelope marked, "Read first." She knew, I whispered, recognizing Mom's handwriting. Of course she knew. Grace sat beside me. Sarah wasn't just my sister. She was the smartest woman I've ever known. She saw Cynthia coming from miles away. I opened the letter. My dearest Angela, if you're reading this, then things have happened exactly as I feared. I'm gone, and Cynthia has shown her true colors. But I didn't leave you defenseless, my love. I left you armed. There's more, Grace said softly, reaching into the box. She pulled out a small recorder, the old-fashioned kind with actual tapes. Your mother hired a private investigator long before she got sick. She knew about Cynthia's pattern with wealthy men. She pressed play. Cynthia's voice filled the room, years younger but just as calculating, speaking to another lawyer about another family's assets. She's done this before? I asked, though I already knew the answer. 3 times, Grace confirmed. Always the same pattern. Marry a wealthy widower, isolate him from family, then take everything. She spread out the investigator's photos across her coffee table. Cynthia with different men, different families, different lives, all ended the same way, with empty bank accounts and broken homes. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I asked. Grace's eyes filled with tears. "I tried. The day of your mother's funeral, I tried to show your father these files. Cynthia intercepted me. Said if I ever contacted you or your father again, she'd sue me for harassment." "And Dad believed her?" "Your father believed whatever made his life easiest," Grace said gently. "Men like him, they don't want to see the truth until it's too late." My phone buzzed. "Hayden, you need to see this. Cynthia's trying to sell her story to local news. Playing victim." "Let her," I said aloud, picking up another document from the box. It was a second will, dated just days before Mom died. "Read it carefully," Grace urged. "Your mother didn't just protect your inheritance. She protected you." The legal language was clear. If anyone contested my right to the trust fund, they would trigger a clause revealing all of Mom's evidence about Cynthia's past. "Mom was always 10 steps ahead," I said, amazed. "She loved you more than anything." Grace squeezed my hand. "That's why Cynthia worked so hard to erase her. People like that can't stand knowing they'll never measure up to a memory." My phone rang. Dad again. I let it go to voicemail. "He's been calling Grace, too," she said, crying about how he never knew, how sorry he is. "Too little, too late," I muttered. "Maybe." Grace stood up, walking to her desk. "But your mother left something for him, too." She handed me another envelope, this one marked, "For Garrett," when he finally sees the truth. Inside was a single photo. Mom and Dad at their wedding, young and happy. On the back, Mom had written, "You'll have a choice to make someday. Choose our daughter." "He didn't," I said quietly. "No," Grace agreed. "But now he has to live with that." My phone lit up again, Yolanda this time. "Court tomorrow, everything's ready. You don't have to speak if you don't want to." But looking around Grace's study, at the evidence of my mother's love and foresight, I knew I would speak. Not just for myself, but for Mom, for Grace, for everyone Cynthia had ever silenced. "I should go," I said, carefully repacking the box. "Court's early tomorrow." Grace hugged me tight. "Your mother would be so proud of you, not just for fighting back, but for doing it with dignity." As I drove home, I thought about Mom's words. "I left you armed." She hadn't just left me money, she'd left me truth, proof, and most importantly, the strength to use both. Tomorrow, I would use everything she gave me. And finally, after 11 years, justice would have its day. The courthouse steps were already crowded when I arrived. Cynthia had spent the night attempting damage control, posting a tearful video about being misunderstood and attacked by a vengeful stepdaughter. Her social media army was out in force. Hayden met me at the entrance. "Ready?" "More than ready," I said, clutching my mother's files. Inside, Grace and Yolanda waited with our lawyer. "Cynthia's not here yet," Yolanda reported, but her new attorney filed for a delay. "Denied," our lawyer smiled. "Judge wants to proceed immediately." The courtroom doors opened. Dad slipped in, looking lost without Cynthia beside him. When he tried to catch my eye, I turned away. "Angela," he approached anyway. "Please, can we talk?" "Court's about to start," I replied. "I have something you need to hear first." He pulled out his phone. "Cynthia sent this last night, said if I didn't support her version of events, she'd release it." He pressed play. His own voice filled the air. "Yes, I pressured Sarah about the trust. I told her including Cynthia was the right thing to do, but she wouldn't listen." "Save it," I cut him off. "Mom recorded that conversation too. Want to hear what happened after? When she told you she'd rather die than let Cynthia touch my inheritance?" His face crumpled. Before he could respond, the bailiff called for order. "All rise." The judge entered, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s. She scanned the room. "Where is Mrs. Porter Clark?" Your Honor, a young attorney stood. I'm representing Mrs. Porter Clark. She's been advised to remain at her hotel due to concerns that her previous recorded statements might constitute attempted fraud. The judge finished. Proceed without her. What followed was systematic destruction. Every document Mom had gathered, every recording, every piece of evidence about Cynthia's past emerged. Her previous marriages, her pattern of financial manipulation, her attempts to access my trust fund, all laid bare. During a brief recess, my phone buzzed with notifications. Cynthia was live streaming from her hotel, crying about persecution and family betrayal. Look at this. Hayden showed me his laptop. Her followers were dropping by the thousands as the court documents went public. Ms. Clark, the judge called when we reconvened. Would you like to make a statement? I stood, holding Mom's last letter. Yes, Your Honor. 11 years ago, my mother died knowing what would happen. She knew Cynthia would try to take everything, not just money, but memories, family connections, even my relationship with my father. So she left evidence, she left proof, she left me the truth. I turned to face Dad. She also left a choice. Support your daughter or enable your wife. You chose wrong. The court has reviewed all submitted evidence, the judge announced, including Mrs. Porter Clark's recorded attempts to illegally access the trust fund, her documented history of similar actions with other families, and her recent attempts to have Ms. Clark declared mentally incompetent. She paused, looking directly at me. The trust fund remains solely in Ms. Clark's name, with additional punitive damages awarded for emotional distress. Furthermore, Mrs. Porter Clark is barred from any future claims or contact. In the gallery, Dad put his head in his hands. Outside, reporters waited. Cynthia's hotel live stream had ended abruptly when the verdict was announced. Her social media accounts went dark one by one. Angela! Kendall's voice cut through the crowd. You've destroyed our family. Are you happy now? I turned to face my stepsister. Your mother destroyed families long before she met mine. Ask her about the Wilsons in Seattle, or the Thompsons in Portland. She said you'd lie about her, Kendall spat. Then explain this. I held up my phone, playing a video from Mom's files. Cynthia arguing with another husband about another stolen inheritance. Kendall's face went pale. She backed away, finally seeing her mother clearly for the first time. My phone buzzed again, an email from Cynthia herself. You think you've won. I still have your father's confession. I can still hurt you. I forwarded it to our lawyer without replying. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Angel? Dad approached one last time. What happens now? Now? I looked at him, really looked at him, seeing the weak man who'd failed to protect his daughter. Now you live with your choices, just like Mom had to live with them, just like I had to. Grace appeared at my side. Ready to go? I nodded, turning away from Dad for the last time. Behind us, reporters shouted questions about Cynthia's whereabouts, about the trust fund, about family betrayal. But I was done talking. The truth had spoken loudly enough. My phone lit up with one final notification. Yolanda. Court documents are sealed. Trust fund transfer complete. It's over. Not quite, I thought. Because somewhere, Cynthia was already planning her next move, her next family, her next con. But this time, she'd do it without my mother's money, without my father's support, and most importantly, without my silence. 1 week after the court hearing, I sat in Yolanda's office, signing the final paperwork for my trust fund. The amount still stunned me. $480,000 plus another $75,000 in punitive damages. Everything's in order, Yolanda said, sliding the last document across her desk. Your mother would be so proud. My phone buzzed. Another voicemail from Dad. Sweetie, please call me. Cynthia's gone. She took everything. The house is in foreclosure. I deleted it without listening to the end. Did you hear? Hayden walked in, laptop under his arm. Cynthia's been spotted in Arizona. already cozying up to some wealthy widower. Send the evidence files to local authorities, I told him. Let them deal with her. Already done, he grinned. His children's lawyers reached out this morning. Yolanda cleared her throat. There's one more thing, Angela. Your mother left specific instructions about how she hoped you'd use part of the trust. She handed me an envelope I hadn't seen before. Inside was a handwritten note. My dearest girl, money can't buy happiness, but it can create change. Use some of this to help other women who've been silenced. Show them how to find their voice. Love, Mom. I think I know exactly what she meant, I said. Later that afternoon, I met with a legal aid organization. By evening, the paperwork was filed. The Sarah Clark Foundation for Women's Legal Defense, starting with a $100,000 endowment. Perfect timing, Grace said when I told her. Look what just came across my desk. She showed me her phone. Kendall had posted a public apology video. I never knew who my mother really was. To all the families she hurt, I'm sorry. To Angela, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. She's young, Grace said softly. She was manipulated too. My phone lit up. A text from an unknown number. You think a little foundation makes you special? I made your father sign everything over to me before I left. How's that for justice? See. I showed Grace the message. She laughed. She still doesn't get it, does she? This was never about money. No, I agreed. It was about truth. The next morning, I visited Mom's grave for the first time since the court hearing. Someone had been there recently. Fresh flowers lay against the headstone. Dad's been coming every day, a voice said behind me. I turned to find Yolanda. He sits here for hours, reading your mother's letters. Too late, I said. Maybe, she nodded. But your mother believed in redemption. That's why she left all that evidence. Not just to protect you, but to wake him up. My phone buzzed again, a news alert this time. Cynthia's face filled the screen. Socialite faces multiple fraud investigations. Below was a quote from her new target's daughter. Thanks to Angela Clark's evidence, we stopped her before she could hurt our family. Your mother's watching. Yolanda smiled. And she's cheering. Back home, I found another voicemail from Dad. Angel, please, your inheritance is waiting. Just come home. This time I didn't delete it. Instead, I played it one last time, remembering all the times he'd chosen Cynthia over me, all the times he'd watched silently as she erased Mom's memory. Then I blocked his number. You okay? Hayden asked, watching me from my couch. Better than okay, I said. I'm free. My phone lit up with another notification. The Foundation's first case had been accepted. A young woman fighting her stepmother for her inheritance. History repeating itself, but this time with a different ending. Want to hear something crazy? Hayden showed me his screen. Cynthia's Arizona target? His late wife left evidence, too. She knew someone like Cynthia would come along. Smart woman, I smiled. Like mother, like daughter, Grace said from the doorway. She'd arrived with a box of Mom's old photos. Real ones, not the staged portraits Cynthia preferred. We spent the evening going through them, remembering the woman who'd seen the storm coming and armed her daughter with truth. My phone buzzed one final time. Yolanda. Trust fund fully transferred. All legal battles won. Your mother's legacy is secure. I looked around my living room, at Hayden's proud grin, at Grace's gentle smile, at the photos of Mom scattered across my coffee table. The money was nice, sure. But this? This was the real inheritance, truth, justice, family, the real kind. And somewhere out there, other daughters were finding their voices too, thanks to Mom's final gift. To Sarah, Grace raised her teacup. Who knew that the best revenge isn't served cold, it's served with proof? We all drank to that. The Sarah Clark Foundation's office hummed with activity as I reviewed our newest case files. 3 women, all fighting similar battles against financial manipulation, each one finding their voice, just like Mom hoped. My phone buzzed. Grace sending me a link. Local socialite breaks silence. The thumbnail showed Cynthia, considerably less polished, sitting in what looked like a trailer. I was misunderstood. Her voice crackled through my speakers. I only wanted to protect our family's assets. Turn that off. Hayden walked in carrying coffee. You need to see this instead. He pulled up another video, Kendall speaking at a domestic abuse awareness event. Financial abuse is still abuse, she was saying. I watched my mother destroy families, including my own. But thanks to my stepsister, I learned that silence only protects the wrong people. She's doing better, I said softly. Unlike some people, Hayden nodded toward another news alert. Local business owner faces bankruptcy after wife's departure. Dad's company was failing without Cynthia's social connections. The house had been sold at auction, his country club membership revoked. Every pillar of the life Cynthia built had crumbled. Angela? My assistant poked her head in. Your father's in the lobby. I stood, straightening Mom's locket around my neck. Send him up. He looked older, smaller somehow. The confident businessman replaced by someone I barely recognized. Angel, he started. It's Angela, I corrected. What do you want, Dad? He pulled out a familiar envelope, Mom's last letter to him. I've read this every day since the trial, about choosing our daughter. I chose wrong. I've chosen wrong for 11 years. Yes, I said simply. You did. I'm not here to ask for money, he said quickly. Or forgiveness. I found these. He placed a box on my desk. Old home videos from before Mom got sick. Before Cynthia. Before everything went wrong. She recorded messages for you, he said. On your birthdays, at Christmas. I let Cynthia convince me to hide them. But they're yours. They always were. My phone lit up. Yolanda. Just approved 3 new cases. All daughters. All fighting back. The foundation. Dad looked around my office. It's helping people? It's giving them what Mom gave me, I replied. A voice, evidence, support. He nodded slowly. Your mother was always the strongest person I knew, until you. Strength isn't what you think, I said. It's not about power or money or social status. It's about truth. I know that now. He turned to leave, then stopped. I visit her every Sunday, same time you do. I've seen you there, but I stay back. I don't deserve to stand beside either of you. After he left, I opened the box. Dozens of tapes, each labeled in Mom's handwriting. Angela's 16th birthday. Christmas message 2020. For when you graduate. Want company? Hayden asked softly. I nodded, unable to speak. We spent hours watching them. Mom, healthy and vibrant, speaking to a future she wouldn't see, telling stories, giving advice, leaving pieces of herself behind. My phone buzzed. Grace. Found something you need to see. She arrived carrying a small journal. Your mother's diary. Listen to this entry. If you're reading this, Angela, remember, revenge isn't about destroying people. It's about revealing truth. Let them destroy themselves. I looked at my desk, covered in case files, each one a story of someone fighting back. Not with violence or schemes, but with evidence, with truth. Angela? My assistant again. The Arizona case just broke. Cynthia's target's daughter used your evidence. Police are involved. Good, I said. Send them everything. My phone lit up one last time. Kendall. Teaching a workshop next week. Women sharing their stories. Would you come speak? Show them how to fight back? I thought about Mom's words in her diary. About truth and revelation. About letting people destroy themselves. Yes, I texted back. I'll bring the foundation's lawyers. Grace picked up one of Mom's tapes. For when you find your voice. Play it, I said. Mom's face filled the screen, her smile exactly as I remembered. My darling girl, if you're watching this, you've done it. You've found your voice. And now? Now help others find theirs. That's how we change the world. One truth at a time. I looked around my office, at the case files of women fighting back, at Mom's tapes finally home, at the foundation giving voice to the silenced. Cynthia wanted my silence. Instead, she got my story. And through it, other stories emerged, each one stronger than the last. They say revenge is best served cold. But Mom knew better. The best revenge isn't served at all. It's shared, spread, transformed into something powerful. Into truth, into voice, into change. And that's an inheritance worth fighting for.